Welcome back. My name is Arya and I don't waste your time, so let's get straight into it. Earlier today, Meta Platforms, which absolutely needs no introduction, revealed their Meta Connect 2024 event. If you're not familiar with this event, essentially they just showcase all their wearable technology, all the brand new hardware they've been working on, and additionally any artificial intelligence products that they're coming out with. And I must say, straight out the gate, based off first impressions, I've already gone ahead and watched the video, I was thoroughly impressed, particularly with one product, which we'll dive into later on in the video. But before we do all that, I want to kind of set the stage as to how much money this is actually costing Meta Platforms. One of the reasons why I never took interest in Meta until a little bit recently is the fact that they're spending so much money on the Reality Labs segment of the business for basically nothing in return. To give you an idea, over the past trailing 12 months, Meta has spent roughly $17 billion in negative operating income, only to generate about $2 in total revenues. Imagine a business where for every $1 in sales that you make, you are losing $8 in profits. Not too great of a business, but of course Meta could afford this massive cash burning entity within their conglomerate because they have a complete cash cow in Instagram and Facebook that generates hundreds of billions of dollars, so it's not too big of a deal. But of course, as you can see, the trend is obviously going into the bottom right, so it is increasing over time. And this was always worrisome to me. I did not see a return on investment anytime soon that would be appropriate for the amount of money that Meta is actually burning. I always looked at it as a pet project for Mark Zuckerberg and he's being egotistical about it ever since Apple took away the ad rights or whatever a couple of years ago, I think 2020. He's just been very upset over that, and so this is kind of his reaction of trying to get back to it. But we've made some developments over the past, give or take, 12 months. First and foremost, we've seen a legitimization of this category as a whole. How do we know that? Well, Apple actually stepped in. And usually it's kind of a stamp of approval whenever Apple moves into your category. It's probably going to be a growth vector for the next, call it, decade at least. We've seen this time and time again with both the AirPods and the watches, the HomePods when they came out, Apple has their HomePod, Alexa, Google, whatever, all that type of stuff. Like, this is probably going to be a hardware category. If Apple sees a decent return on investment, they would probably want to be competitive in this industry for the coming years. Of course, they're at a completely different price point. With that being said, if we go back and focus on Meta, they've spent cumulatively probably in the, I want to say, $40 to $50 billion on this Reality Labs business. To give you an idea, all the Disney parks in the world today are about $60 billion worth. So the 12 Disney parks around the world, California, Florida, Tokyo, in China, you go on, all of those combined cost about $60 billion of capital expenditures from Disney in order to make them. And these are massive parks. You could spend probably like a month in there, you still wouldn't discover the entire park, let alone 12 of them. And so all those things cost about the same amount of money that Mark Zuckerberg has burnt on the Reality Lab segment. And so now that we've kind of set the stage with what it is we're dealing with here, I would actually like to watch the event, as I think it was pretty impressive.
This is the new Meta Quest 3S. High quality mixed reality for $299. Hell yeah. I've been waiting for this one for a long time. When we built Quest 3, we delivered the first high quality mainstream mixed reality experience where you can see the world around you, you can reach out and touch digital things as if they're right there. Quest 3 is the best mixed reality device that you can buy today, and I'm really proud of it. Quest 3S has the same defining features as Quest 3, high resolution, color, mixed reality, powered by the same processor, vivid pass-through, hand tracking, feels natural, touch plus controllers for precision. You get the full range of experiences from Horizon OS, gaming, social, fitness, watching videos, productivity, and more. So whether you're looking to get started with the base Quest 3S, or if you want the top-of-the-line Quest 3 with 512 gigabytes and 4K displays, which is now just $499, the Quest 3 family, it's not just the best value, it is the best product available. Everything you're going to see up here is streamed from his headset live. This is what he is seeing.
And so I'm going to just quickly pause here before he actually goes on to demo it. But so far, nothing too impressive. I mean, it's just the good old ski goggles that we've seen time and time again that comes out from Meta. It looks like they have the mixed reality set from last year. Not too big of a deal.
Yeah, it's sharp. All right, Kenny, what do we got? All right, now the first thing that you can see is that we have expanded the quality, the volume of content massively. Yeah, sorry to the dude next to him. Live demo artifact. All right. You can now run everything from 2D mobile apps to remote desktop for PC to fully immersive experiences all on one device. You can open screens, you can put them anywhere around you, you can have pretty much as many of them running as you want. And we have also rebuilt all of our social apps for mixed reality too. We've got all new Instagram and Facebook experiences to bring your feeds and your reels with you. into mixed reality, a really nice interface, so you can lean back, enjoy your content on nice big screens. And there's a bunch more too. All right, we've been working with Microsoft to upgrade remote desktop soon. So now you're going to be able to easily connect to any Windows 11 PC. You just look at the keyboard and it'll start pairing. So if you want to work on a giant virtual display or a bunch of virtual displays, or if you want to work on your projects without distractions or with other people, Quest is going to be able to be a natural extension of your PC. We're also bringing,
in case you missed it right there, they're partnering up with Microsoft. And so I find this to be just absolutely remarkable. Not only does this open up the window for the Quest headset to just be, the Meta social apps with Instagram, that type of stuff, but it also opens the door for a whole computing experience. Imagine you are on the go, you're commuting to work, for example, you're on the train, you're on the bus, whatever the case is, and you could just kind of pop this thing on, and then all of a sudden a keyboard comes in front of you, all that type of stuff, and go on your computer while you're commuting. I don't know. I just personally found that to be a little bit interesting that they're able to kind of sync that up with Microsoft and that type of stuff. And then in this part, Mark Zuckerberg, he demos the ability of the new Meta AI and the text-to-speech of it, at least, to be able to, in real time, translate information to a different person. So this is what it looks like.
So it actually looks like you were speaking the other language. So let's check this one out.
Mi lengua materna es el español, pero fíjate, ahora también puedo hablar inglés a través del doblaje automático de IA. My native language is Spanish, but check it out. Now I can also speak English through AI automatic dubbing.
So glasses, they're kind of the perfect form factor for AI, right? For letting an AI assistant see what you see, hear what you hear, be able to communicate with you privately, so it can help you out with whatever you're doing throughout the day. I am about to have a conversation with Brandon Moreno, former UFC flyweight champion of the world, where he is speaking Spanish and I am speaking English. All right, Brandon, you want to come out here and show us this?
Starting live translation from Spanish to English.
Hey, ¿cómo estás? ¿Cómo está tu rodilla? ¿Has vuelto a entrenar?
Hey, how are you? How is your knee back training?
Doing well. Knee is doing well. It feels strong. I'm ramping up training. How are you doing? Are you getting ready for your next fight?
Haciendo bien. La rodilla está haciendo bien y sentirse fuerte.
So today we are dropping a limited edition of clear, transparent frames. I think this is neat because it's a neat vibe, right? You can see the technology in them. For the first few versions, we spent so much energy designing the glasses to basically hide the technology, to make them look like normal, stylish glasses. But now I think people are starting to appreciate what makes them special, and I think having a design that celebrates that is pretty awesome. This is Orion, our first fully functioning prototype, and if I do say so, the most advanced glasses the world has ever seen. They're not a headset, no wires, less than 100 grams. They need wide field of view, holographic displays, sharp enough to pick up details, bright enough to see in different lighting conditions, large enough to display a cinema screen or multiple monitors for working wherever you go, whether you're in a coffee shop or on a plane or wherever you are. And you need to be able to see through them. And people need to be able to see through them too and make eye contact with you. Right? This isn't pass-through. This is the physical world with holograms overlaid on it. It is a completely new kind of display architecture with these tiny projectors in the arms of the glasses that shoot light into waveguides that have nanoscale 3D structures etched into the lenses so they can diffract light and put holograms at different depths and sizes into the world in front of you. And all of that is directed by custom silicon and sensors that we designed and powered by a battery that fits in the arm of the glasses. It is a absolutely incredible amount of technology to be able to miniaturize and fit into a pair of glasses and a small puck that goes with it to help power the whole thing. They're going to do voice and AI. They're going to do hand tracking and eye tracking, so you can select UI elements by looking at them. Voice is great, but the thing is sometimes you're in public and you don't want to say what you're trying to do with your computer out loud. Hand tracking is neat for controlling different interfaces, but you don't want to walk down the street like this, right? So I think that you need a device that allows you to just send a signal from your brain to the device. So this isn't just the first full screen, full wide field of view holographic AR glasses. This is also the first device that is powered by our wrist-based neural interface. We do still have a few things that I want us to keep pushing on before we ship this as a consumer product. We're going to keep tuning the display system to make it sharper. I want to keep working on the design to make it smaller and a bit more fashionable. And we're going to keep we need to keep working on the manufacturing to make it a lot more affordable too. But we have line of sight to all of those things. So we are going to use Orion as a dev kit. We are going to use it mostly internally to build out the software that we need to, but we're also going to work with a handful of partners externally to make sure that we get a diversity of content and just that we can really dial in the software and the experience. So that way, when we have the next version of this hardware, it is going to be ready to be our first consumer full holographic AR glasses.
And ladies and gentlemen, there you have it. That is probably going to go down in history as Mark Zuckerberg's Steve Jobs moment, the iPhone moment. This is Orion, and this is the smartest pair of glasses the world has ever seen. That was incredible. And no, it's not perfect. By no means is it perfect. There's still the issue of like your field of vision goes from like 90 degrees per eye, I think, to down to 70 degrees. There's also the issue of like, that's a pretty bulky 100-gram pair of glasses on your head. Like you can see this guy, right? Like it doesn't look quite right. But I mean, over time, like compare the first iPhone until the generation now, like it's progressively become slimmer. Realistically, we should expect something similar for these Meta glasses. And no, they're not shipping it yet. And they just said, we have line of sight of eventually pushing this and making it a consumer product, that type of stuff. Honestly, I never saw the future of the big bulky ski goggles. I think there's very niche use cases, again, like maybe demoing the house as a real estate agent, maybe some gaming and sport, maybe a little bit of education in there, that type of stuff. It wasn't a mass consumer product. Everyone's going to carry it with them every single day. We're not going to turn this into Ready Player One, right? If you guys know that movie. But instead, these glasses make a lot more sense. You just chuck them on your eyes, and you could still see the real world, but at the same time, you have these glasses that kind of augment everything that goes on around you. You're able to bring up all the different things that are typically on your phone. And honestly, if I was sitting in the shoes of Apple, I would see this as an existential crisis. If they miss the move from our current mobile devices to this next hardware platform, this would be an existential crisis for Apple. Of course, the execution of something like this, particularly on Meta's side, going and producing hardware from a typically like a mobile app and software and essentially being a website, is just two worlds apart. But I mean, so far they've done, in my opinion, pretty well. And again, this comes as a person who's been highly critical of Meta burning tens of billions of dollars on the Reality Labs segment. But dare I say it, maybe Zuckerberg was right all along. And maybe they could be competitive 5 years down the line, 7 years down the line. And maybe you start to kind of make sense of the fact that, you know, the stock is up, God knows, maybe, I don't know, 500% over the past, give or take, 18, 24 months. Maybe some of these things start to make sense, considering that this business has a extremely high margin, dominant business in social media, and now they're trying to move on to the next hardware platform. And what's really important to note about this whole Meta story is they don't actually need this Reality Labs. They could continue burning $20 billion per year of cash on this business and completely have zero return on that after 10 years. They're just totally wrong on that. And it would still be a successful investment. What do I mean by that? There's a massive misconception that Meta needs to continuously be able to add new users to their platform. And so that's the $3 billion daily active people or monthly active people that they keep reporting every single quarter. They need to continuously have more and more people around the world using their products for them to be successful. That couldn't be further from the truth. That does help it out, because if you have 10% more users on your platform, that means that you could show them 10% more ads, and that drives revenue growth. But then on top of that, the part where 90% of investors don't consider with Meta is that ultimately the core engine and revenue driver of this business is the average revenue per user. So on average, if we look at this chart that I pulled from FinChat, the average Meta user as of 2023 is roughly fed about $45 worth of ads per year. This is completely globally. This number is of course higher in North America. The average North American user is fed about $80 worth of ads per year. In Europe, that number sits at about $30, so on and so forth. You get the idea. And so this number on its own has grown at about 21% over the past, give or take, 11 years. And so we could also visualize that. We could look at the ARPU growth by geography. And so, for example, the United States part of the business, which I believe off the top of my head is about half of the business, that as a core driver of revenue is growing at about 16% year over year, and it's accelerating. Europe, which is the second biggest market for Meta, is growing well above a 30% clip, and it is also accelerating. And so this is what I mean when I say, like, it doesn't necessarily have to grow in terms of user count, as long as these users are spending more time on Meta. And those ads, the prices of those ads, the ad rates over time are going to continuously go up as we see a shift of traditional marketing to digital marketing, which is like Meta and Google. As we see a shift for that, the ad rates should go up, and additionally, the amount of time that people spend on Meta products should go up. And so the combination of those two things should result in average revenue per user to continuously be able to grow. How fast? By the looks of it, most of these segments are growing between 15 to call it 30%. And so all of a sudden, the 20% growth rate for the past decade looks like it could continue. And of course, I'm no philosopher. I'm not going to sit here and tell you this is exactly going to be the growth rate in the future, but just to give you an idea, like this is a very reasonable growth rate to assume, and then add on the fact that you're growing total user count by about 8% on top of that, all of a sudden you have like a 30% growth business. And so ladies and gentlemen, what is the eye-watering price that you have to pay to own shares of this magnificent business with incredible margins, 3 billion people around the world using it, and network effects that quite literally span every single geography in the world, a 29 trailing PE. On a forward basis, 25 times earnings. To give you an idea, the S&P 500 actually trades about perfectly in line. But the problem with the S&P 500 is it's only growing about 10%, not the 30% that Meta is probably going to be growing at. And of course, Meta has been very cyclical in the past. So that's another thing that you got to consider. Sure, they're going to grow at about 30% over the next year, maybe 2 years. But what if we go into a down cycle with ads and we see a 20, 30% decline? These type of things have also happened. So you got to be wary of that. But I think net everything, you could reasonably expect a high teens to maybe a 20% growth rate, and the valuation isn't too demanding. And now we're finally starting to see all the capital expenditures and investments made into Reality Labs actually start to pay back, and it's providing a picture of an optimistic future where this might actually be the next hardware paradigm. And so to kind of end this video on a high note, I think Zuckerberg has done an exceptional job steering the company since the lows in late 2022. Me personally, I'm probably going to look for an entry into this business. My only problem is it trades at a slight premium relative to what it's historically been trading at. I would probably get more interested closer to a trailing 23 PE that would put the company at about $480 per share. So currently trades about $100 out of that. And of course, I'm being a little bit greedy, and like at the end of the day, in 10 years time, if Reality Labs is successful, it doesn't really matter if you got in at a 29 PE, 23 PE. I'm just being picky because I already have a lot of big tech and I'm not too much in a rush to starting a Meta position. But I would be more than happy to start a Meta position, even though the stock is up 500% since the lows. I don't mind. I see good value. I see good growth. I see Zuckerberg, the founder, steering the ship, and he's doing exceptionally well. And I actually am somewhat a believer of Meta being able to pull off this augmented reality hardware shift. All in all, looks like Meta is executing on all levels, and I wouldn't want to miss out. With that being said, if you're interested to try the software that we've been using all video long, it is finchat.io. If you use the link in the description, you could get 2 weeks free with absolutely no obligations, no need to put any payment information in. All you do is just put your email, you could try it out, and I'm sure you'll love the software just like I do. If you learn something new and you like that I don't waste your time, you should consider subscribing. I'm going to continue to post high quality videos just like this one. You can always go back on that decision if you end up not liking the videos. Thank you for watching, and have a great day.